Welcome back to the Christian CEO, the official second episode of the podcast. This podcast will be posted on YouTube and Spotify, and I am currently working on getting a Patreon set up so that you guys can go on there, and I will let you guys know as soon as that is done. Today, we have a very special guest, Trevor Roney. What is up, Trevor? How are you doing today?
What's up, bro? I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. Okay, so just a quick introduction for everybody. Where are you from and what do you do?
From Colorado Springs, and I own a landscape company. So we
Okay.
do everything. We do everything pretty much except for mowing. Do
Okay.
property cleanups all the way to complete design and installs.
Okay.
So
Very cool. And we are gonna get into the hardscaping a little bit more in the podcast. But second question for the introduction is how long have you been a Christian?
I've gone to a Christian school since kindergarten. My parents got divorced. The only thing they could decide on was sending me to a Christian school, but I didn't know what it actually meant or take it seriously until like a year and a half ago. With my church, I went on like this winter retreat thing,
Mm.
and like that showed me what it actually means to be a Christian and like what that looks like in the day to day and all that stuff. So about a year and a half.
About a year and a half taking it seriously. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Okay. So what was your very first business venture?
Landscaping, dude. I got a PT Cruiser for my first car. It is a hand-me-down from my grandma, and I just needed to make some money to put like gas in it and pay for insurance.
Hmm.
So I printed out these little like flyer things, and I was like Googling like best landscaping names like for a company, and like Keep It Clean Lawn and Landscape was one of them. And so I printed that out on a flyer, and then like I handed like services like property cleanup, mow, trim, blow, like that kind of stuff. Just knocked like 200 houses in my neighborhood, gave them all flyers. And then I had, I think, 6 people like sign up for mowing, and then that's all I did. And then if people needed like a cleanup or something, I'd just walk my mower, my blower, all that stuff to the house, and just that's how I started it. So
Beautiful. What was the name of your PT Cruiser?
Patricia, bro. I had the
Patricia.
custom plate. It said Patricia, and it didn't have the A in it, so it was like PT Risha, like Patricia. It was kind of. I thought it was cool, bro. I still think
It's
I'm kind
fire.
of proud of that name still. It's kind of
It's
fire.
fire, dude. I love it. I was thinking like, one of these days you gotta like have PT Risha like merch because that
Merch, bro. I'll do
yeah
it.
just
I sold the
yeah.
wheels it was on though. I don't have the wheels anymore.
I'm sure you still
That's
have enough pictures to make merch
Dude, I
though.
got the pictures. I could make some fire merch, dude.
You should do
I
that.
don't know who'd want to wear it, but I could make it.
I'll wear
You'll
it.
wear it? All right,
I'll
there's
wear
one.
it.
So
Yeah, exactly. You already yeah.
let's go.
Proof of concept. Okay, so what sparked your interest in landscaping? Was it purely a business standpoint, or do you just love mowing lawns?
Dude, it was better than like working at Taco Bell for like 13 an hour.
Yeah.
Um, and like I had no interest in it. Like it was that or car detailing. And I picked mowing just because like my dad already had the equipment in his garage.
Mhm.
So I just used that because it was easy and just ran with it. And then I didn't like I that first summer I just had like got up to 9 clients just walking the mower around. And then the next fall, or the next spring, I guess, I was talking with one of my clients, and I actually ended up buying one of her trucks. And it was like a 1998 Dodge Dakota manual. I didn't know how to drive manual. I learned on the way home, but um, yeah. So I bought that truck, and then I hired my best friend's little brother, and we
Mm.
went like all over Colorado Springs mowing. We got up to like 55, 60 lawns that summer that we do on a consistent basis. And yeah, dude, we just knock them out. And then even going into senior year, we still have that route, and we'd knock them out. I got like 3 or 4 total kids, and we'd all pack into that Dodge Dakota. And from 3:30 when we got out to like 7:38 when it got dark, we'd knock out like 15 a day. Like 2 mowers, 2 trimmers. Like it was wild. We were moving, bro.
That is
But
awesome. One thing that I do love about like landscaping is there's like that inherent client retention built in. Like if you
yeah.
like lo grass is growing every day, so like once they get their person that they have mow their lawn, it's that client retention is so simple. Um, which is kind of a nice
Yep.
feature of starting a landscape company.
And when
So
you're
at
there, they're already like, hey, I got these bushes that need trimmed. Hey, I have these
right.
leaves that fell. Hey, I have this, which was nice. That was the nice thing about mowing. But yeah, I didn't start taking the landscape business serious till senior year. There's actually this dude in Erie named Jacob Farling who started Oro, and his video popped up. He's like, I'm starting $1 million landscape business doing project-based work. And
Mm.
like at first, I'd never thought like pavers and retaining walls and like that stuff was like cool or whatever. But then like I saw him talking about it, and then I saw a couple other dudes, Chase Gallagher, uh, Tigran Gertz, even like they were like preaching the benefits of it. So that's what I started doing the spring of senior year. We transitioned into that, and then I started taking it like actually serious.
Very cool. That's so, I mean, like, yeah, you have client retention and upselling already like built in, which
Yeah.
is, I think that's why like a lot of teenagers find so much success in it. Like the teenagers that don't see it as like a summer gig, the teenagers that see it as like, no, this is like my business, they find so much success because you already have upselling and, client retention built in, which a lot of people think that mobile detailing has that feature, which it kind of does, but it's less natural, less organic. The upselling
Yep.
and the client retention aspect is way less organic than it is with like landscaping. So that's pretty
If you're
cool.
seeing these people like once a week too, that they'll start to trust you. Like
Yeah.
because you'll be like, "Oh, how's the cat doing, Miss Brenda?" Like, like just
Right.
random
Right.
stuff, and then it builds trust. And it's like you go to sell that patio that they're looking for, and it's easy.
That is awesome. So I another question that I had, which like so when you're doing lawns, I know you don't do lawns currently, but when you're doing lawns, how many times a month, or is it like a week to week basis? Is it bi-weekly that you're showing up to these people's lawns? Like how often do you have to go back once you get that client?
So it depends. When I was doing the lawns, I was giving them 2 different prices. One for the weekly and then one for the bi-weekly. Um, how I first started doing it is it'd be like just for example, like $40 for a weekly and then $60 for a bi-weekly. And that worked. I did more for every other week because there'd be more grass, so
Right.
um takes more money. But how I switched it when like before I stopped mowing this season, I still did mowing, but I only did it like this. It was just like a monthly subscription, so I'd add up like how many cuts we do for the whole season.
Mm,
And then if you want it weekly, it's 40 times like 22 or whatever for the season. And then I'd break that down into the months we're cutting. So if it's like 22 cuts in like 5 months, you do the 22 times 40, 880, divide that by five, and then it's like 160 or something like that. And then they pay you like a subscription base, and then you just
mm,
show up every week. Um, so that's how I found more success with it. It was a lot easier than sending them an invoice and waiting for money every week.
right.
You just have a card on file and then you charge it every like first of the month or 30th of the month.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's nice. I mean, and that's not like something that someone who is like treating it like a summer gig is going to be doing, which is kind of what's interesting about like landscaping and mobile detailing is uh in a lot of industries you have to pay your dues, but
In a
with like
lot of industries, you
landscaping
have to.
and mobile detailing, In order to pay your dues, you just have to outlast the people that see it as a summer gig. Like, so it almost is like you just have to show up a
Right.
second summer and you already are more impressive to people, like clients are like, oh, like, you're
Yeah.
still doing this after high school? Oh, like you're actually taking this seriously. Very good. Okay, so
Yeah.
um, next question would be is like, how has your Christian faith influenced your approach to building and running, a business? Like what, are there specific instances where your faith has like guided you through like a crucial decision, or what's your experience with that?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of like a specific like influence or decision.
Mm,
But like small stuff, I'm still learning too. Like just give your business and your trust in your business to God. Like
mm,
don't try to do it all yourself, which is hard for me. Like when things are going really good, it's obviously like, oh, thank God, like all glory to God, like all that stuff.
mm.
But when stuff's going bad and you're like not doing too hot, and it's like what I find myself doing a lot more than I should is like, how do I lock in? How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I do this, what will happen? Like, just put your trust in God and like He'll reward you for trying. But
Yeah.
that's something I'm still learning. And then like just small stuff, like if like a client's like, hey, I won't be there this week, I'm having surgery. It's like, okay, well, I'm praying for you, hope you get better. Like that
Yeah.
goes a long ways, like just small stuff. Like talking with clients and if it comes up, like sometimes it comes up. Like for example, there was this one dude that was like, yeah, like I don't know like where to go to church or like all this stuff. And then I invited him to our church and not me and your church, the church I go to. I invited
Right.
him to our church and like he's been showing up like every Sunday. He'll go to first service and then he
Wow.
sits in the like lobby of the second service like he didn't know where to go. And just talking about it with him, like now he has a place to go every Sunday.
That is
So
awesome.
small stuff like that and just trusting God.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful answer. I think one of the ways like that a lot of people don't inherently like think of is like the small things, i.e. like just people skills. Like people skills aren't inherently given to people, but it does feel like in my experience, a lot of Christians that take their faith seriously start to just develop people skills. Like you're
Yep.
taught from the Bible to be kind, to, be patient, and all of these things, they start to inherently like help out your business. Um, you know, like, even in the space of podcasting, I've been trying to book this specific person on a podcast and they kept on having to reschedule. But, being patient, then you
Who was
finally get
that,
them
bro?
on. Yeah, that was you, bro. That was you. I couldn't get you, booked up for a podcast, but I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna be patient with him and be understanding. And he's a busy guy. And look at that. Now we got you on the show. So,
Yes, sir.
even just like the people skills that come from it, I think are huge and very underrated. And so, I mean,
Yeah,
do you
definitely,
have
dude.
any thoughts on that? Like,
Even just integrity, dude. Like I
yeah.
think probably in any space, bro. But especially landscaping. Like I'll be talking to other contractors and stuff. And it's like, oh well, they're in the Broadmoor. Like they'll pay more. It's like,
Mm,
or they're in on Platt or whatever. Like they're not gonna want to pay anything. I don't want to work with them. Like
mm,
just integrity. Like bro, just be honest in your pricing. Don't inflate it or deflate it. Like
yeah.
just stand true to you, bro. Like it doesn't have to be like you don't got to take advantage of people because they're in a better financial situation, or you don't have to not want to work with someone. Like
Yeah.
just do you, and if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
Yeah, that's a great one. And I think, yeah, that's extremely underrated, but like a lot of people don't even understand like how many times small businesses will inflate or deflate their prices, or like just not even respond to a lead based on like stereotypes that they have. Like you said, it's just
yeah,
lack of integrity. It's such an easy way to get ahead is just by having that integrity. So
yeah,
that's a great point. And so obviously being a business owner, you are going to have obstacles and setbacks. So just based off of memory, do you have any huge setbacks that you've had to overcome?
Bro, I'm in the middle of one right now. My truck like totally just blew up, bro. There was this bracket that held up the transmission.
Mm.
It wasn't put on right, or it was basically the transmission was basically falling out of the truck. So like that bent everything that it touched. Like lines were pushed into the exhaust, burnt a hole in the lines. Drive shaft was all crooked, like all the brackets and everything holding it were crooked. And dude, that was a wicked bill. It was 15K. I had a turbo go out too that I had to replace on my truck. So that's a 15K bill. I'm 15K deep in an $18,000 truck. So um
Wow.
that's a pretty deep obstacle. Another one, I had my biggest job ever,
Mm.
um, which I was super hyped to close. We ended up being on it a couple of weeks too long. A couple of weeks too long. I ended up working for almost free on that.
Wow.
Um, and that was a rough one. Um, yeah, just knowing where your people are actually at, not where you want your people to be at. My people were not equipped for that
Yeah.
job. And I was looking back, I was too inflated about the people I had. Like they were good workers, showed up every day, like super thankful for them. But at the time, that was not the the crew I should have taken to that job.
Mm.
Um, yeah, a lot of lessons between those two. So just yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think both of those are, things that a lot of people can relate to, like equipment breaking and then also just like that like quoting process is so difficult and like the project management part is very, very underrated, especially for landscaping. You can easily have like the perfect quote, but then if you don't manage the project properly, you will work for free, or better yet, you will work for, you'll be losing money while doing the job, which
you'll be
that
paying to work.
always,
Yeah,
yeah, you'll be paying to work, which is it. I personally have had a job where I was very young. I took on a job for um, I didn't quote it properly, and then I didn't do project management properly. And unfortunately, it ended with me just telling the person, like, I have to drop this project. Like, I can't finish it. Like, if I had the means to finish it, I would, but I legitimately don't have the means. So I literally gave the money back, and I ended up working for 4 days on a project and making $0. It was so yeah, it's very, quoting and then project management are huge. So
100%. That's another
yeah,
thing too is time management. That's a big setback for me uh, on that project because I was still trying to do like all the estimates, all that stuff, all that. And
hmm
when I gave the estimate, that's something I didn't think about. So is my role in it, and then my role like with every other job and aspect of the business too. I didn't account for that. So when I got to the job, it took me by surprise, and I was running all over the place, wearing all the
yeah,
hats, doing all this, doing all that. So that was another big point too.
yeah. That's that's all. That's crazy. Um, so um, in order to try to push the podcast along a little bit, I let's see. I'm trying to look at my notes here. Um, so ending 2024 and into 2025, do you have off the top of your head some of the numbers in terms of like revenue you did in 2024 and your goals for 2025?
Yeah, so 2024, we worked from April to pretty much October. So that's 6 months. In that 6 months, we did like 185.
Nice.
Um, so I didn't push as hard into the the outdoor living stuff as I'm going to this year. And we were doing a lot of like mulch installation, rock installation, like small stuff like that. We were still keep it clean, lawn and landscape at that time.
hmm
So a lot of the leads we were getting were for like the smaller, like, hey, can you trim this bush? Hey, can you pick up these leaves? And then yeah, we had a couple in between like the 5 to 9,000 range, couple between the 9 to like 20,000 range, and then we had like a 70K plus job.
Wow.
Um, and so it was kind of all over the place. And then when I was doing that 70K plus job, which is the one that I ended up being a couple weeks late on,
Mm.
was I hit a rebrand too. So we're now Empire Outdoor Living, and yeah, primarily focused on the outdoor living, patios, concrete,
Yeah.
um, pergolas, that kind of stuff, design and build. That's where I want to be. So going into 2025, I had the goal of at least 1 million.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I've got some pretty big projects down the line too. A couple of mentors as well. And I think we'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, I think I can hit 1 million this year.
That is awesome. So I want to talk a little bit more about the rebrand. Obviously, we know you went from Keep It Clean Lawn to Empire Outdoor Living. So the
Yep.
lawn care versus outdoor living kind of explains itself. But where does the inspiration for the name Empire come from?
Gotta be honest, bro. I ChatGPT a list of them, and it was eventually I came down to Elevated Empire.
Okay.
Um, but there's a company in the Springs that's been around for a little bit longer that's elevated, like their
Mm,
elevated landscape. And so I just stuck with Empire, and then like I don't know where the Y came from. Um, but I remember like when I was picking the name, like the Y, like signified like something more luxurious and like something I wanted the brand to represent more than like the I. So that's why it's
mm.
YRE instead of IRE. Um, yeah, bro. But to be honest with you, bro, it came from a chat GBT list.
That's
So
awesome. Well, I
that's awesome.
appreciate the honesty. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly,
It
that's
wasn't
how
like
a
some
lot of,
profound thing. I looked up in the clouds and they separated and like it was just
yeah.
chat GBT, bro.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are getting their business names from ChatGPT now. Like, it's just such a nice feature to be able to get a list. And if you don't like anything in that list, you can just keep asking it to generate more, generate more, generate more until something just like, you know, ethereally touches you and you're like, I
Something
like that
clicks.
one. Yeah, something clicks. You're just
Yeah.
like, I like that. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Um, and yeah, in terms of the why, I think. I thought maybe you were gonna say like, I don't know, to always remember your why, like why you're in business, why you do the things you do. But it sometimes it is just like standing out. Like it's just simple business psychology. Like I
Yeah.
need to stand out. And so having changing it one little thing can make you stand out. So cool. Well,
Yep.
we appreciate the honesty. And
Yes, sir, bro.
I think for this episode, that's the last of the core questions that I had. I do have some blitz questions, which is a segment that I do on every episode where try to answer the question in less than 60 seconds. And we'll just fire off a few questions, rapid fire style. And yeah. I do though want to have you back on the podcast to get more into your mentorship, to get more into your rebranding. Um, since you have blessed me with honesty, I will bless you with honesty. I don't pay for Zoom yet, and so
Okay.
it kicks me off after 40 minutes.
Okay.
And
Where are we
so
at time wise?
we have 6 minutes left before it shuts this whole meeting down. So
Oh shoot, dude, we gotta lock in.
we got to lock in. But next time I will have you on and we will talk about the rebranding. We'll talk about your mentorship and we'll talk a little bit more about the in-depth of your specific business. Um, yeah, we'll just have to schedule that. But like I said, we only have 6 minutes left. So blitz questions. What is your favorite business book?
I don't read books, I'm not gonna lie. So as far as books, the Bible, um, and I listen to podcasts mainly. So
Okay.
I've got a couple of podcasts. The Martell Method, he's pretty cool. Um, Hormozy,
Yep.
and then there's this guy. He owns A1 garage doors. I think they're worth like a
Yes.
hundred million.
Hmm.
Um, forget his name. I think it's Chris something, but I think his podcast is like home service growth or something
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that. He's got some game on there. He's
Yeah, he's
actually
insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is like
So
obsessive. Like I absolutely
yeah,
can co-sign that podcast. If you guys haven't heard that podcast, that and Hormozy, I can co-sign. I listen to both of those personally, so beautiful.
yep.
Okay, so what is a key standout moment in your business career that you are proud of?
Oof. I'd say a couple, bro.
Okay.
So in senior year, when it was like the April and I was still in class and stuff like that, and I'd have employees out in the field that
Mhm.
I'd communicate like on passing period with and stuff like that. Like just like I had this one teacher specifically that like just thought I was like piece of trash, like wouldn't do anything because like I didn't want to go to college and like this. And I'd be like, bro, I'm making your like monthly salary by lunchtime. And it's like there was that aspect of it. And then it's like I have this picture too of I had two trucks, two trailers, a skid steer, and then
Mm.
like a bunch of stuff like lined up in front of my house.
Wow.
Um, that was a big thing for me. And then like uh in the mornings too, like when they'd all come to my house and then we'd like I'd get them listed up for the day and like all the equipment and all that stuff before they'd go out. And like seeing like three or four, five cars in front of my house,
Mm.
like these people work for me. Like that's a pretty
Yeah.
cool feeling too.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean like
that kind of
converting
stuff.
your ideas into like steel, right?
Yeah.
Like you had an idea and then you go outside and you can like knock on the skid steer and you're like, dang, like
Yeah. Like
this
I
is
was
real.
walking my mower here, like on this sidewalk, like a
Right.
year ago, year and a half ago, whatever. And then now I've got two trucks, two trailers, a skid steer, bunch of equipment. Like it's a crazy feeling.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. I
So,
can attest to that too. Like, when you have a business and uh then you like actually have employees that are like calling you and are like, hey, like, what are we doing this? Like it's like an unreal moment for, people that have never had that. Especially for young
yeah.
entrepreneurs, that first time you have proof of concept, it's beautiful and it's such a nice thing that clicks. Um, okay, so last question. Um, what is your advice to people with shiny object syndrome, and have you personally ever suffered with that?
I've suffered from it. If something seems too good to be true,
Mm,
it's probably too good to be true.
mm,
Like, for example, there's a ton of like these landscaper like people that have like courses,
mm,
and it's like for $200 a month, I'll give you the systems that help me do like 20 million a year. It's like
mm.
for $200 a month, you're not going to get the exact systems. So, but I've joined them. I've joined them, and it's like they have a call once a week and like they'll go through with you like sales objections and stuff like that, but it's not like the actual systems. Like if I join in and I'm thinking for systems, like I want to see exactly what your sales process looks like. I want to see
Right.
exactly what your project management looks like. Like I want it like detailed and stuff like that. And it's just never the case.
Yeah.
If it seems too good to be true, like they're not going to give you $1 million idea for $1,000, bro. Like it's tough. Like they're salesmen though. Like they get you with it. I've fallen for it. Like I know
Yeah.
you've fallen for it. Like
Yes.
it's happened. So
Yeah. Yeah, and typically like what a lot of people don't understand is like these people do have good ideas and they do have valuable knowledge, but it's typically the true value is hidden behind another swipe of the credit card. Like
yep.
next time I have you on, I actually want to talk about where me and you met because it actually was at a course. It was at an event.
Yeah.
Um and us personally going through that event, the first event was free, the second one was like 1500, and then the third one was 40 grand. And so they just kept on bringing you closer and closer and closer to like that
Yep.
final price. And then I know someone who did swipe the 40 grand and he liked it, but like he didn't feel like it was worth his money. And so like um yeah, we can obviously talk about that in the next one. Unfortunately, we have less than a minute. So I'm going to close
No,
this
you're
off
good.
by saying that this podcast, like we mentioned in the intro, is going to be on Spotify and YouTube, and I will be working on the Patreon. Yeah. thank you so much for coming on today, Trevor. And we will be sure to get you back on. So with that,
Yes, sir,
peace.
bro.